Atlantis versus Clarion, round 2, and this time it's through the SPl Channel One Mark III.
From the mind of Mark Yoshimoto Nemkov.
So you're listening to the Atlantis right now, and the SPl Channel One Mark III has a really great feature in that you can audition 2 different mics through it. It has 2 microphone inputs, and it allows you to switch between them using the exact same settings. So being that the Atlantis and the Clarion are totally gain matched, meaning when I switch between them, the volume doesn't change. This, I feel like, is a really good way to demonstrate them through the exact same chain. And you're hearing it just through the SPl Channel One Mark III with no additional EQ or any additional processing. It's going right into the MT-48, the Neumann MT-48 for the converters. And I believe that this sound, this all analog sound, is the way to go. This is the path of the future for me. So, of course, you're listening to the Atlantis in plus 10 dB, and I'm going to switch over to the Clarion. And when I do that, there's like a little 1 second, 2 second pause as the relays switch over from one circuit to the next one. So hold on 1 second. All right, and here we are on the Clarion, and they're definitely 2 different sounding mics, even through the SPl Channel One Mark III. I think I'm hoping that the premium level of this channel strip helps to demonstrate further differences between these 2 mics. And again, you're hearing a much punchier, tighter capture with the Clarion overall. So right away, I mean, I think that the Clarion in the plus 10 dB setting is the way that I'm going to, obviously be using it for commercials and stuff going forward because it has a really nice forward edge, forward punchy tone. Now, when I switch over to the Clarion, there's going to be an edit so that you don't have to wait for them to switch over. So here we go. And here on the Atlantis, you're not getting as much of that punchy tone. And even still in the booth, right, you're getting a little bit more, you're getting a sense of a larger sounding signal. And what I like about the larger sounding signal overall is that it does feel like it has a little bit more of a natural ambience to it, that it doesn't feel as dry and direct as the Clarion. But if I want dry and direct, the Clarion is a great mic to do that. So here we are on the Clarion again. Definitely a lot more dry and direct. You could say it's a little bit more punchy. With this setting on the SPl Channel One Mark III. This is what I call pretty much the full bore setting. I've got all the features turned on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn all the features off. And then you're just going to hear both mics through the SPl preamp, and then we're just going to add stuff to it. And then we're going to change between them, and then we're going to hear any sonic differences there may be with each of these features added on. So right now I have the EQ on, which I'm going to take off. I have the compressor on. I have the Transient designer on. I have the de-esser on. And I have the tube saturation set at 50% at 12 o'clock, the dial set at 12 o'clock. So I'm taking that out completely. So what you're hearing right here, right, I'm making sure everything else is off. What you're hearing right here, this is just the preamp. So if you were to just take the preamp out of the SPl Channel One Mark III, which you can do on the back, you can just take the preamp out before all the other little features. So this is what the preamp sounds like, and I do think that the preamp sounds really nice. It has a nice smooth top end. It feels expensive. It sounds expensive. Let's switch over to the Atlantis. So overall, right? I mean, this is a great sound. It's a very usable sound. But when you start adding on all these little features, these mics really shine. So again, here it is, just through the preamp, no EQ, nothing on it. I'm going to start to add some features on there. De-esser first because I apologize for my sibilants. So here it is with just the de-esser on. And I think that right away, killing that sibilance really helps a lot. So even if you just use the de-esser, I think you get an exceptional sound. And here it is through the Clarion. Again with the de-esser on, same setting. I'm just going to bounce back and forth between them. Now, let's add on the Transient designer. So here we go. So Transient designer on, and the way the Transient designer is set, I have attack rolled back just a tiny bit, like a hair. And then I have the sustain. Sustain I have the sustain dialed up just a hair, just to add a little bit more of that resonance in the mid-range that I like. And the attack is really to mitigate that initial plosive plosive-born onset of your first transient when you speak, or any transients when you speak. So transient designer off, and here we are transient designer on, and it definitely feels a little bit more full with the sustain on, and possibly a little bit more controlled. The plosives, the transients sound a little bit more controlled. And here we are on the Atlantis, and again, nice and smooth. Let me just take the transient designer out real quick on the Atlantis. So this is what it sounds like without it. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's what it sounds like with it. So definitely a little bit more full, adding a little bit more of that larger than life aspect to it. So let's continue on our feature adding journey here. And of course, this is all in cardioid. The Atlantis, of course, is in the neutral setting. So let's add on the compressor. So here we go. So this is the compressor, the one dial compressor on the SPL. So this is with the compression in, and you're really not feeling a whole lot of compression because, for voiceover, when I use it, I'm just using a teeny tiny touch just to take the edge off of everything, try to keep it as natural as possible. But here, if I were to dial it up and then add a little gain back here, so I mean, if you want to get more of a big radio DJ tone, you could do that. But I don't like that, so I'm going to take that out. So here we go. Let me just add my little tiny dollop of compression on that. And I don't use compression on everything. I actually find that the compression, when you take it out, so here it is with 1, 2, 3, 4, without 1, 2, 3, 4. So it definitely feels a little bit more detailed in the lower mids. So I like it without for the most part, but sometimes you need it with. But I'm just going to put it back in. So putting it back in. So without 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm just jabbering on. Let's go over to the Clarion. And here it is with the Clarion. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me take it out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Put it back in. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So overall, I know I'm moving fast. I got a whole bunch of Allstate tags waiting for me. So I'm trying to get through this efficiently. So I think as we start adding in the features, right, these mics begin to sound definitely more finessed, but in a good way, but not in an unnatural way, which is what I like. I think that's still a little bit too much compression, just a tiny bit. All right, so now we're going to add on the EQ, the last bit, and I only use a tiny, tiny touch of EQ. There's a little bump at 2.8, and then sometimes I use a little bit of air to add detail. So I'm going to add air band, which is 19K on the channel one. So here we go. Here it is without, and then here it is with. And the only reason I'm adding just a tiny touch of that is because I feel like it brings out it makes it pop a little bit more. It brings out a little bit more detail. Now let me take it out again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and again 1, 2, 3, 4. So I feel like and we're talking about just like 1.5 dB at 2.8, and just maybe 2 dB at 19. Now, what I'm going to do after hold on. Oh, I forgot one thing. Hold on. But first, let's listen to the Atlantis. This is what happens when I'm trying to do this before I have a big job. So this is the Atlantis with the EQ, 1, 2, 3, 4. And here it is without, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the Atlantis, because it has kind of more of a brightness on the top end, doesn't necessarily need that little EQ pop as much. So here it is without, 1, 2, 3, 4. And here it is with 1, 2, 3, 4. But I think that when you add that little tiny EQ pop, it really helps. It really helps you. It's going to help you cut through a bed. So I really like that. So I'm just going to leave that in there. Now, the thing I forgot was the tube saturation. So we have no tube saturation. And as I start dialing it in, you can feel it moving forward, right? It's like a train coming at you. So I got it right here at about 50%. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's switch over to the Clarion. And here we are in the Clarion. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me take it out. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Slowly add it in. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then if I really push it, to about 3 o'clock on the dial, get it really aggressive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. A lot more in your face. And then here on the Atlantis, really in your face. So this is what I would use if I really wanted if I wanted a promo that was really, really up in your, right up in your grill. I would probably really dial up the saturation like this. But I generally don't, I don't really like it up there for most stuff. So I'm just going to dial it back to about 50%, about 12 o'clock. So this is generally where I'm using a lot of stuff is right on this setting right here. Sometimes without the compressor. Here it is without the compressor. I kind of like it without the compressor. So this is a work setting right here. And then let me switch over to the Clarion. And then with the Clarion definitely feels a lot drier, a lot flatter. And so if I actually kind of punch up the tube saturation a little bit more, the Clarion kind of feels a little bit better, right? I like that. It's got that nice forward edge to it. But overall, so what do you think? What do you think of this comparison of both the Clarion and the Atlantis going through the SPl Channel One Mark III? And again, with these mics, there are no wrong answers. But I want to know what you're thinking. All right? I got to get to work. All right? Until next time, this is Mark Yoshimoto Nemcoff, fading to black.